Hi guys, this video lecture is about deviance and social control. I'm going to limit my lectures to about 10 minutes at a stretch. So this chapter should take us about two, maybe three 10-minute clips. Deviance and social control this is probably one of the more popular areas for sociology majors. Seems to be that a lot of students want to become law enforcement officers or private detectives or correction officers, and this is the sort of the area, this would be their specialty. Deviance is defined as any violation of a social norm. This might be a violation of a social norm of behavior, so you might be doing something or acting in a way that's different than everybody else, than you're supposed to, than what the social norms are. Like you might be speeding, you might be sitting on the floor and everybody's sitting at their desk, you might steal, anyway, so it might be an action or it might be a characteristic. And what we mean by characteristic is your age, your height, your size, your ability status. So it might be just a difference in your way of being. It's both. It can be either. It can be either. So tattoos, in some way that you are, right? Deviance is relative to time and place. And what that means is what might be considered an acceptable behavior in one place might not be in another place. So it's acceptable to wear a bikini on a beach, but it's not acceptable to wear it in the grocery store, right? Or in time. And what that means is that once upon a time it was, well, now would be a great example, right? That it used to be acceptable to hug people in the hall, but now you're supposed to be 6 feet away from people. You can't be in places with more than 10 people. This is Pumpkin. Say hi, Pumpkin. Right? Manhattan, and I think Saline County did too, but Manhattan just issued a stay-at-home advisory or stay-at-home order, which means now if I were out just going shopping, which I can't because the stores are closed, that would be considered deviant. But 3 weeks ago, that wasn't deviant. 3 weeks ago, that was normal. 3 weeks ago, staying at home for 14 days in a row would be considered deviant. So what was normal once is not normal anymore. I've been saying lately that that these are strange times we're living in. These are very deviant times compared to what we were doing just a year ago or 4 weeks ago, for that matter. To declare something deviant is a form of social control. And what we mean by that is that when you say you're deviant, you're breaking the rules, you're a criminal, that is supposed to act as a means to control somebody's behavior. So simply by saying that what was acceptable yesterday is no longer acceptable is supposed to influence or motivate people not to do it. So I just finished listening to the press conference with the county officials who said that we have the stay-at-home ordinance, and so they redefined the norms. Like, this is how you're supposed to act, and they have told us that to act different would be a form of deviance, and in that regard it's supposed to control my behavior. They're hoping that when we define the new normal and we define the new abnormal or new deviant, that will somehow get us to behave in a socially control our behavior, social control. It also is, sometimes people engage in behaviors because they feel like they have no other alternative. So we say that deviance is a response to limited opportunities. And what that means is, so I may have said at some point that people who break the rules are perfectly socialized. And what that means is simply that we all want the same things. We all want relationships and material comfort and a sense of belonging. But when, for whatever reason, we're not able to acquire those things, we're not able to establish relationships or have material comfort, we find our opportunities limited. We're going to break the rules in order to get the same things that everybody else wants. When we can't secure food and shelter, say for our children, we will break the rules because we are socialized to that this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to provide for our kids. And when we can't provide for our kids, then we will break the rules so that we can. Because sometimes you have to break the rules in order to acquire those socially necessary. So sometimes people, another way to say it is desperate people do desperate things. It's a response when our opportunities are limited. We may be forced or believe that we are forced to break the rules. A method, so deviance is also what they say, a method of exploitation of the powerless by the powerful. And what we mean by this is that, because if you remember that social triangle, that the people at the top are the ones that are writing the rules. And they write the rules in such a way to extract as much resources or human resources from the people at the bottom to exploit those people at the bottom. So it's the folks at the top that are setting the rules and telling how the people at the bottom are supposed to be. And in that sense, sometimes it can be very exploitable, or very exploitive, where those folks that decide what the rules are supposed to be, the ones at the top, right, are writing rules so that they can extract as much resources from those of us at the bottom. And then finally, this was on your midterm exam and will be on your other quizzes and exams too. Deviance is about norms and predictability. When we declare something deviant, what we're effectively saying is you are unpredictable. When somebody is deviant, we are simply saying you're different than the social norm, than the expectation, and you're making it hard on me to predict my life, so you need to follow the rules. Why? I mean, ask yourself this. Why do we, or maybe you don't, but if you do, get frustrated with people who break the rules? Why? Why does it bother us when somebody seems to be getting away with something or breaking the rules? And I would speculate that part of what bothers us is if they can get away with the rules, then maybe those rules aren't necessary, or maybe they're making my life unpredictable. If they're not stopping, my favorite example is you come up to the stop sign and come up to the stoplight and it turns green. Why do you feel like you can go? Well, because it turned green and you know the other guy has a red light. You have faith. You trust that that other person will follow the norms of the red light and they will stay there, right? The expectation that other people will follow the norms makes it easier for you to live your life because it makes things predictable. Again, if I can use these crazy times as an example, I was in the post office earlier today and there was tape on the floor, or 6 feet apart. And I predictably stood on my tape, and I expected the other people would stand at their tape too, because those are the rules. That is the norm. And I could confidently stand on my yellow tape, feeling like they would stand on theirs. And as it turned out, this guy came in and he didn't stand on his tape. And that made me really uncomfortable because he was being unpredictable. And then that leads everyone else to say, well, wait a second, if he doesn't have to follow the rules and I don't have to follow the rules, and then we have sort of like, chaos. I mean, that's one of the things that's making this time so uncomfortable for people, is we just don't know what's going on, right? It's very unpredictable. There are two major ways of explaining why people break the rules. The psychologist and the sociobiologist, biology, if you're looking on your slide, here's the third box, right? The key here is that for these guys, people break the rules because there's something inside them that is broken, that it's biological, that you could almost biologically or genetically predict who would break the rules and who wouldn't. The sociologists, though, they argue that both following the rules and breaking the rules are caused by external forces, that it's external forces that influence us to both follow the social norms, follow the rules, and to break the norms. So in the next video, we'll talk about some of the symbolic interactionist theories behind why some people follow the social rules or the social norms and other people don't.